helper this time, and I normally don't. So this is going to go a little bit differently, but I think for you it's a big perk because we're going to do almost 100 years difference of getting dressed. So you'll see not just from pictures, but how you would get dressed. And the first thing that we have on, you want to stand up, Alice? You can see we both have a chemise on, or a shift. The English called it a shift, and then somehow over time that term kind of became a vulgar term, and usually the French terms for undergarments became the preferred terms. And chemise sounds a lot better than shift. So, and how I'm dressing today is French Canadian, basically. I volunteer sometimes when I can up at Fort Michilimackinac, because one of my from Greenfield Village, one of my big things is food history. So I'll go up there and cook and help in the garden. They let me pick whatever I want from the gardens and cook. And then my fiance is a bread historian. And so last year though, he caught the bread oven on fire. And so it was horrible. It was starting to go, you know, they're made out of clay and wood, and the clay had given way, and I was out there, I'm like, Jeff, that doesn't look right. He's like, and he looked underneath and it was on fire underneath, and oh my God. So there's no bake oven now. But anyway, they were gonna get rid of it anyway because where the bake oven was, they've just added on to the fort. So we stay in the French Canadian quarters, the merchant quarters, and just outside there was the bake oven. But now they've added an addition, and they're going to feature slave history in this building. So a reason to go back up to the fort if you haven't been there in a while. So anyway, these are the clothes that I wear up at Fort Michilimackinac, and we do French Canadian history. So. I'm wearing linen, she's wearing cotton. This is way more comfortable. It's just so light and breezy. I'm gonna be dressing her in 1880s today, but her chemise is actually probably closer to the turn of the century, the one that she has on right now. I had another one on her and she was smaller than I thought, so that's why I changed her. So have patience with me here. So these are just some of the, you know, base garments, and you can see how there are some differences. And of course in the winter, you're gonna want something longer and warmer. Flannel is great, you know, to keep you warm. Just a note too, when you're doing history and you're cooking, I learned at Firestone Farm that, well, they changed the rules on us to not wear any modern underwear, because if you catch fire, modern materials will melt to your skin. And it actually happened to a woman who was in the basement and caught her skirt on fire, and her underwear melted to her skin. So don't want to do that. So underneath here, you don't wear, there's no such thing as the panties that we're used to today. I have them on because the first time I gave the program, I knew somebody. So, I mean, they didn't pay that much to see that, okay? So, they got to cough up a few more bucks. So, I do have my underwear on here just to avoid that. Also, we both have on something, just so we're not showing too much. Pasties. Mine are I don't know what you call it. Hers are more like Band-Aids. They tape on. They're these are the ones I have. They're silicone. And then have you seen these? They're called pedal tops. God, these guys are like, man, I didn't know I'd learn all this. This is awesome. How many wear these? There you go. Yeah. I ask that every time. Steve, are you pink? I ask that because people wear them, and actually older women wear them because a lot of women, they have back problems or whatever, they don't like to wear a bra, and it's just kind of a, we have it on so you don't know we're cold. So anyway, the next thing, what do you think would be the next garment to put on? Not yet. What do you think would be the next garment to put on? Socks. Yes. Show them your socks, show them your ankles, and turn sideways. Percy has a little bit of clockwork stitching. Guess what? I'm lucky. I don't have any. Woohoo! I love doing 1770s because I have bad feet. And the next thing you put on is shoes, right? So her shoes, can you kind of maybe put them up here to show them? We'll both show our shoes. Her shoes are straights. Straights are, you buy them, and they're both the same. And once you start wearing them, they will form to your feet, and you'll be able to tell which one fits the right and the left. So you make them right or left yourself. But basically the sole is the same, the shoe's the same. I'm doing French Canadian, so I have moccasins. I like, not everybody does this, but quite a few do. I wear kind of like a wool slipper inside, and I even wear those in the summer just because of walking on stones and stuff like that. These I made myself. They're pucker toe. They're what would have been popular in the Great Lakes region. And the problem with moccasins are that you wear through them pretty quickly. Once you get them wet, you get holes in the bottom and blah, blah, blah. So, but they're actually not hard to make. So, and they're very, very comfortable. And with the wool sock, they're really pretty warm. So.
Her socks look like wool.
Yeah. And they had silk. I think I forgot. I have silk stockings, and I don't think I left them in the basket. Shoot. But cotton later too, and wool. I have my favorite pair. These are my favorite. These are silk. And they're reproduction, but they often have a nice, just in case a peek of your ankle shows, they usually have. I like them in winter too. Now, when I worked at the farm, I would wear Firestone Farm in the winter. We had no heat. It would just be the stove, and I would double up and wear wool socks over silk. The silk was kind of like a nice, comfortable base layer.
So when you say reproduction, that means they're new products.
They're new, yeah. In fact, these are new, but these are a very good reproduction. You notice I have white hair. If you notice, there's a stamp here, and that was really pretty good reproduction of Balbriggans. Balbriggan, Ireland became the spot to make the best stockings. And you know how we call the tissue a Kleenex? A lot of people referred to their stockings as Balbriggans, even though they might not have actually been made in Balbriggan. But I actually bought these from Gomes Brothers, which is an Amish store in Shipshewana, in Millburn. That's right, outside of Shipshewana. And they sell those. Well, it's been a while since I've been there. I'm guessing they still do, but that's where I bought these.
They just stay up.
No. You need a garter. Let me go to the next slide. I have some pictures. I keep saying I'm gonna make this one day. I love this one with the coin purse. This is just, here's a Roebuck. And this is later, 1890s. But you can see, you would need some kind of support. Now, it wouldn't have to be a garter here. It could be a separate garter like you see here that's worn around the waist. It could be a clip on the bottom of your corset that comes down, or this was my first corset that I wore at Firestone Farm, and I got the ones with them attached. Horrible. I think they had so many options because you know how we are, everybody's kind of a little different. These were not comfortable to me. I felt like I was a walking tin soldier. You know, I was just packed, tied to my stockings. And that to me was not comfortable at all. So I was like, the next course that I got, I did not get these supports on it. So that's just my preference. So you need a garter and you just simply roll it down. Earlier times, like even the era I'm in the winter, I would have worn stockings. And I just use a ribbon to tie it. And then roll it over the ribbon. For me, it holds up better when you roll it over a couple times.
So you would tie your ribbon around the thigh and roll stocking.
Yep. Yes, and roll it over. Yep. And what's interesting about the later, like 1880s, we had rubber. We actually had rubber in these. We had rubber for shoes. We had rubber in the garters. So, yeah, we had some things that you wouldn't think, but we had it. So they did have some stretch to them later on. So, yeah, and stockings could be fun too. I really like not wearing stockings in the summer. But if I was in a later era, the era she's in, I probably would not have gone without stockings. I mean, never say never, but typically not. You would have most likely had them on. And these are just one other thing that's interesting about stockings, where I put these. Before 1900, you probably were not wearing black stockings that much, if at all, because they didn't come up with a sanitary dye, that's what they called it, until 1900. And a sanitary dye made black color fast. Black was a very hard color to achieve. And in fact, they used an arsenic to achieve black. And I actually found now there were a lot of women's publications, and I think it was a Harper's Bazaar. I found an article where a woman was complaining about the veil, wearing it, and that she was having throat, problems and coughing, and what she was doing was breathing in arsenic. Okay? But instead, like how they would write in and say, this is my problem, and someone would write back and they'd say, oh, do this, it's one of those articles. And instead of them saying, get rid of the veil, they said, oh, just pin a piece of muslin fabric around your nose and mouth area on the inside of your veil. I'm like, really? Because today it's like, if it's making you sick, do not wear it. But then, that just shows you the mentality of the veil, and how could you not wear a veil? It's expected of you. And the other thing about crepe, they used a lot of silk black crepe for mourning. And the veil, if it got wet, it would become bumpy, the color would kind of come out, and crepe would turn kind of brownish color. And even today, if you're working with period clothing, old period clothing, and silk is especially fragile, which I don't know if you have clothing here, but very fragile. And sometimes you open a box with a silk garment and it wouldn't have a powder. So it's really, most curators will wear some kind of protection to not breathe that in. So, yeah. So, after 1900, man, you'd want almost all your stockings black because they don't show the dirt, right? But otherwise, that black that was not color fast would rub off on your feet because your feet sweat, you jump in the pool, So it's just not the best color for stockings in early times. That's why you see a lot of fun colors. So these are just ads for more stockings. And I love this one. Just here's another stockings one. I love the little kid over the shoulder. It's so cute. Okay, what would be the next garment? What do you think is next? And this is actually a garment for her and not me. Again, well, it's good in the 1770s, I think, compared to 1880s. Not yet. Not yet. All right, I'll give it. Drawers. Drawers. Okay, this is where we're going to start getting you dressed. Okay, drawers. We're split. Don't get too excited, guys. Why are they split? Yes. Did you ever see the movie Mrs. Brown? If you haven't, watch it. There's a scene, it's about the Queen. And there's a scene where she's walking with her ladies in waiting and she does this on the path. You know. How could you do that if you didn't have split drawers? You know? So, because your corset goes over this, so this can't be pulled down. Okay? Right. Now, saying that, let me see.
Are these all reproduction?
Those are real. Those are the real thing that I just showed you. She's going to put on a pair of reproduction. Okay, look at these. How would you go to the restroom in these? These are not split. There's a button. Okay, I'll show you. Can you hold my mic, please? It's wide enough to pull it over, to pee through the leg. Do you think someone my age is going to wear these? Hell no. Now she might, and why do you think? They are pretty. These would be for the young girl like you, not for an old lady like me. All right. The chemise tucks in. Okay, you ready? Okay, hold this. The button goes in front. Why don't you have a seat? Why don't you have a seat? Normally she would put her shoes on after putting these on, but to save time, because the shoes take a while to put on, we had her put them on.
Those are reproduction.
These are reproduction. The shoes are too. And they're expensive. The shoes are expensive.
Were they back then?
Yes, but not too, I mean, probably not compared to today for period shoes, you know? I should look up what that costs. Okay, let's stand up. Can you hold that? Okay, I'm gonna come forward. I'm gonna tuck this in, and you're gonna pull up. Why did they go over your shoes? Because this kind of protects you down there. You would have to pull that over to the side, okay, and then we'll button you. There we go. 1770s. Where it is? Okay, I'm gonna read you something. Oh, sorry. Warmth, a base. The chemise is to protect your skin from the corset, and to protect the corset from your skin, because you're not going to wash your corset as often as you would your chemise.
Would this be spring, summer, or winter, fall?
Yep. Now your undergarment material can change, like I said. In the winter, you probably would prefer to wear flannel. So, yes, flannel was very popular in the mid to late 1800s. In the era I'm showing is mostly wool, linsey woolsey, linen, not so much cotton yet, some cotton, but yeah. And so I want to read you something about drawers. So historians, the first evidence they found was from this guy's journal. Yes. From 1805 to 1817, he had a journal. His name was A. Fynes Morrison. And this is what he wrote. The city virgins, and especially gentle women, in many places wear silk or linen breeches under their gowns. Now, how did he find that out? Okay. So it was really around 1806 that these became more popular, and guess who made it popular? A strong woman, because this is kind of a statement too. It's like man wearing man's pants, right? Queen Victoria's mother. There was an article, a newspaper article, and it said something like, "Oh, she came off the carriage and she was wearing drawers. You could see her drawers." Now the drawers she was wearing is what we call, what later became called, anyone can guess? Yes, pantaloons or pantalettes, same thing. This would be considered pantaloons. These are actual, real, and they're split, but they're long and they are intended to be seen. Okay, so is everybody gonna wear that? A woman being married? Probably not everybody. But what it became was a little schoolgirl's fashion. You've seen maybe pictures of young girls. Yeah, okay. Oh yeah. But you'll see the girls with their pantalettes showing, and that's basically the schoolgirl fashion. But that was the difference. Now, you've heard of the bloomer costume? Okay, and the bloomer costume kind of has, these are called bloomers, so they're different than pantalettes or pantaloons because they're more of a pant. And you can see how short, this is the bloomer costume. So Mrs. Bloomer went around the nation in the early 1850s. She was a women's suffragette. She was promoting equal rights for women, and she was trying to convince women to wear the bloomer costume, in other words saying, we can wear the pants. But again, not a popular style, really, because you have to be a certain kind of person, especially back then, might not go over too well in your household, with your husband or whatever. So you'd have to have a strong husband that would be okay with it. But that's the bloomer costume and Mrs. Bloomer. So, now as time went on, and the bloomers, stayed for gym, for gymnastics. But as time went on, you see these combination pieces of combining basically a chemise with the drawers. And I just wanted to show you some variations on the chemise before I go on. This one is meant to be worn off the shoulders. This would be for like an evening gown where you want to show more skin here. So it's meant to drop off the shoulders. This is 1860s. This could be 1860s to 80s, but it is, covers more. This is cotton. This is all cotton, and this is an actual piece as well. And then you see what she has on. These are some like later, much later, like 1910s. And you can see how beautiful it is. And you know, I didn't mention, but your chemise would have been, in my era, 1770s, I'm showing you your nightgown too. I mean, you didn't have a lot of clothing, and you just went to sleep in it, woke up, and layered on.
Are these gowns that women would make themselves?
Mostly, yeah. As time went on, like things like your corsets and stuff became a big industry, and much more. I'm not to say that women didn't make their own, but there was a lot of people buying them. So, and I just wanted to say later, of course, in the era we're showing with her, here's a nightgown, you know, but it's similar. You can see, you know, the similarity. There's another pretty one. This, you could have put lace through, or I mean ribbons through. I didn't notice it. I bought this at an antique store, I think in Ohio, and then I didn't notice until I got home that it had been patched. Can you see the patch? But look at how much work there was with this tucking and the pretty lace. See that? They did a really good job on a patch. Today we get a hole in our underwear and it's garbage, right? It's gone. Well, yeah, combinations. This is another thing I found, I think, in Ohio, and it's like, I've never found it documented. So I learned to say never, because people are creative all through time, come up with their own things, and I've never seen this documented in a book. You see the bottom? I know, and to me, it's buttoned. Can you imagine when you had to go pee? Like, I could see why this wasn't popular, you know, but whatever. But, you know, it's all to be more careful and concealed in case your skirt blows up or something. And I was speaking, I did this program in Elma years ago, and this is another thing I didn't find in a book, and I was so grateful that she gave it to me. So, can you hold the mic and hold it up where I can talk? Thank you. This is a onesie. In fact, it's called a combination, and I learned from this split that this person did not cut out this piece. This was purchased on a bolt, like this, with all the stitchery in it, and you just cut it and sewed it. Here, I'll pass that around, you can see what I'm talking about. Look at the top. And I never saw that in a book. It's just, sometimes you find things and you learn things just by finding it, you know. Did you have a question? Oh yes, and I'm going to talk about towards the end, but the French were the leaders in the corset industry and everything that went on with that. But yeah, it was a huge industry for them.
So this is
It's an actual, yeah, it's original, and they never finished it. And thank God they didn't finish it, because I learned something new that I never found in a book. So, yeah, you're welcome to pass that around. Just don't be eating your double chocolate bar and touching it. He's talking about double chocolate.
You know, it's so lightweight and thin, you wouldn't think it would have much longevity.
Yeah, but it's comfortable because of the cotton. And again, you can wash that easier than you can. You don't really want to wash your corset a lot. You know, when we get into corsets, I'll tell you why. No. Yeah, she put that ribbon in. I thought I loved it. That was sweet of her to give that to me. Yeah, learned something new. I came across some of these ads and I found this one and it cracks me up because it's the whole family wearing the combination thing. But think about it, for one piece, you know, women are, you know, playing tennis, they're ice skating in the winter, you're feeding the horses and whatever, milking the stalls, and you don't have as much bulk with a one piece. That is for carters. And I just so happened to find a carter, that very one that you see, and again, it's split, and this is, you know, later, but for convenience, they're split. Yeah, and I think this one's a female because it's very dainty with like a lace on the top. I don't think the men's have that. So, all right. Someone had a question for me earlier. We're going to talk about that one right now. What did you do, ladies? I'm sorry, I'm going to embarrass you. But, safety pins, safety belt. Ladies, safety belts. You have a safety pin, you pin your napkin on. They actually had patterns in some of these women's publications on how it was made out of flannel. Not used, I'll send it around. It would have been very much like this. There is some modern material in the back. This side would be up against your skin. And there's a woman in Canada that makes those. Because some women are allergic to this plasticky stuff. And that's flannel. That's a pad. Not used. Just want to make that clear. I don't have that problem anymore. Thank God. Okay, so what? Being the person I am, been in the history world for I don't know, over 30 years, 31 years. So I found those and I used them. I bought this from this woman in Canada, and they work better than the crap they sell today. They do. They do not. They keep you dry, and they're very easy to wash out, and they're dry the very next day.
So what fabric is that?
Flannel.
But what absorbs that?
The flannel. They would have. She has a modern material in the back, but they would have folded it. It would have had points at each side. I should make one. And then it would be pinned to your safety belt.
And it would,
Or you could have the loops if you bought the safety. I never had a problem. Never had a problem. Not to say, you know, that's just me, but never say never that no one else did it, I'm sure. But it's not as bad as you think. It's really not. So there's a guy in New York that has, what's that? I'm not going to forget this talk. I think this deserves extra donations to the museum. For this one. But there's a man in New York. He has a menstrual museum, his own menstrual museum. And it's online. Just Google in menstrual museum. Hopefully it's still up. I haven't Googled it in a while. Hopefully he still has it going. But it's fascinating. Oh, what the government used to give to the women when they were, during the war. And some of these things still exist today. A cup. Anybody know about the cup? This guy's going, oh my God, this is I want to know. But some of that stuff's come back, including what I'm handing around, because of this green movement and not throwing all this trash. I've never tried the cup. I didn't want to try the cup. But some people, whatever. And you'd have to slide the cup out, dump it out, points out. Okay, you know about that. So tampons go back to the Egyptians with cotton. Can you believe it? Yeah, people are creative all through time. They came up with ideas. So, yeah. There, we'll embarrass the guys right there. There's something for the men. And maybe your bust is small and you want to pad it out. Maybe you're pregnant and you want, there are corsets for pregnancy, but maybe you want extra support, you're just beyond the corset. And there's elastic in that.
Is this a Sears page?
It is. I think around 1890.
Can you get those online pages?
Some of the books you can find maybe old copies of, but I think like archives.gov and there's I remember a site that had all these Sears catalogs that you can comb through online. There's so much stuff online now.
So the bra padding situation, where would that go if you're not wearing any sort of?
Oh,
Would it rest on top of the?
that there, you would tuck it inside your corset. It would just be in your corset.
It's just a front thing. There's no hook on the back.
No. No. Bust pads, the kind that usually roll something for 50 cents, our price 25 cents. Okay. Okay, now, what's the next thing we're gonna put on? Yes, the corset. I'm just gonna show you this evil device. This is an iron body, and, from the Middle Ages. And historians believe it was worn for people with maybe a back injury or a deformity or something where they did not want them to move because of maybe an injury or something. And you know that they didn't want them to move because look at those points. You don't want to bend over, right? So, and they would be tied, in the back. And before corset, they called them a pair of bodies. That's just what they called it, a pair of bodies. And then it became stains, and then it became corset. Why pair of bodies? Because you got two bodies. It's a pair of bodies. It's as simple as that. So the next thing is a waist. And the term waist, and we're using it in the late part of 1600s, the 1700s, but it continues on up into the 1900s because a waist for boys and girls. Why would they want that? They want to encourage them to have good posture. And then this is a very interesting ad because you see, it's kind of like a training bra. See the young girl? Then at every age. So they kind of grow into it. It's really hard to start wearing a corset when you are not used to it. It's very hard. And by the end of the day, you just want it off. It's horrible. And it leaves lines on your body. But what she's wearing and what I'm wearing are different. So what I'm going to be putting on are stays, 1770s. Again, I'm French, Canadian, and this would have been typical. So, where did I put it? It's hiding. I've been throwing stuff around now. I don't know where I put it. Oh. So, Alice, I'm going to need your help. I have a pair of bodies, waist. I also have something called the stomacher. The convenience of having this is your body changing, growing, and getting bigger and getting smaller. And so there's more flexibility when you have a stomacher. So if I was a fancy lady, I'd probably put on a petticoat first. And and then a waist, and then another peg out. But for a simple working woman like me, I'm just gonna put this right over my shift. And I'm gonna need your help with holding my shift down so I don't show more than I should. Okay. So, what I'm gonna need you to do is make sure my shift stays down. You're gonna help me pull it down through here.
We run this,
You can hold this while I pull this up.
it's an everyday thing.
And back. Help me. It's hard to get just by yourself. Yeah. There you go. So, here. Hold two. So, my husband would help me with this. Thank you. Okay. Now, down. Okay. Here we go. The stomach goes in here. We need to turn the heat down. It's down as low as we can get it. Okay, so we have the stomach down. Your legs is around your chair. What happened? I can't see it. You're not. There you go. Oh, thank you. I didn't see that at all. My arms are too big. Okay. So.
They go through this every day.
It gets
It's an everyday garment. Oh.
I thought it was. I mean, never say never, right? But it's kind of like overall is today. Are there people that do it? Yeah. A lot of people? No. You know what I mean? So I know when I get home, it's the first thing that comes up. It's like, off it goes. No, I'm fine. Okay.
Is this why so many people have ladies' maids?
Yes. I'm just a poor girl. Okay. I'm all screwed up here. Let me see. I somehow got tangled up. Yes. Hold this. Hold this there. Fix the camera.
So what's making it stiff? What is the material making
Oh,
it stiff?
good question. I'll let go. She's looking for this. Okay. So, what is making it stiff? Baleen. It's a fake baleen in mine. You know what I mean by baleen? The whale. From the mouse. That's. Now, did everyone have baleen? No. So what did they use? They'd use green wood, but it does break. But for me, portraying someone up at Fort Mackinac, you would not believe the stuff they had available to them because it was a shipping port. They had everything. Yes, and they find stuff. Did you know that they have the longest running archaeological dig in the nation? And they keep finding stuff. It's just fascinating what they find. Okay. Where am I? I really got to get stuff here.
You took it too fast last time.
I did. Why did that?
Oh, there you go. You can.
I'm getting there. Okay. My boobs are too big. I can't see what I do. I never knew I'd become my mother, but here I am. Okay. I'm getting somewhere.
I didn't imagine that it was going to go over your chest. You know, I
Mary, she wanted to
No, Anna Lee also dresses like that, so she wants to get up there and help me.
Oh, I could.
But that's the struggle, that's the struggle.
It is.
You've got it now.
Yeah, hers is gonna be. Hers is gonna be, she's like, oh no, what did I get myself into?
She's watched media, so it's okay.
Right, pretty straight, yeah.
So am I correct in saying the corset was more shapely for the breast area than the waist?
I guess so, in a way, but you kind of spill over. So I don't know, you know? Yeah.
I don't know which one I like better. I don't know if I like the corset or the stays better. I like the stays.
I like the these are more comfortable to me than the corset. To me. Okay. It's a bit long. Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, what we're used to today of just getting up and going, forget it. There you go. Okay. So, let's do you. You ready? Okay. And I will say that this is my working corset for 1860s. It's not bad. And 1860s are easier than 1880s because, watch, what happens is this goes over your hip bone and elongates. And the reason why the corset changed was to accommodate the style of the dress. So 1860s, your waist is here. And then, you know, you have the bell, like, look. And then it's 1870s, grew longer, 1880s longer, and 1890s were just ridiculous. That was the pigeon look. Okay, so we're gonna put this on you. It's weird putting it on somebody else. Okay, it turns up. It's probably too big for you. Oh shoot. Yeah, you're a lot smaller than I thought. I don't know that this is gonna fit you. Yeah, we're gonna have to take it back. You should start it on the second notch. I'm sorry, your camera. Okay, let's turn towards the camera. Yeah. Okay. All right. Hold these. Okay. Okay, she's a lot smaller than me, so this is, she needs a much smaller corset. So, but you would start at the top with one, and then you would hold it two. She's so small, but you're like, I have no room to like wear out. You're lucky, but just wait. Just wait. Okay. You'll get there.
Well, you can, there was a way you could do it by yourself too, right? I mean,
Well,
you have a whole system.
It's hard. I do it with a mirror, and I just do it myself. But if my fiance's around, I have him help me.
That would be the way to go if you just splits and then some comfortable.
Yeah.
And the one I wore, we kept it laced up in the back, and then you just had to try and suck it in and hook up the front. And mess with the laces.
Yeah, that's the other thing with these, you know, typically, I mean, this is This was stretched out a lot further because I'm bigger than her. But you would just loosen it just enough to get it off so you didn't have to lace it this much. But she's just so much smaller than me. Okay, now pull your laces. Go ahead and pull them. So anyway, then what I do is, okay, I cross it in the back. Come on, grab that. Come over. Okay, we're perfect. and then tie it.
And at what age did they have to start wearing a corset?
They would have started off of the waist probably as soon as they started sprouting. 12. And they may, if her parents wanted her to have better posture, she might have started wearing a waist at a younger age. But these normally are right there at the nips. And this is all metal boning now. So the boning, I handed around a few things. Did they come back?
Yeah.
You got, okay. So I'm gonna hand these around. These are busks. Okay? The busk is 1, 2, but this one had 3. And I pulled it out because I couldn't take it anymore because I was cooking on a stove. So you normally have 3 busks here, with an additional one here. So it may be very straight. In the sides, it's a thinner type of metal. These are your stays. So the word stay, stayed, and referring to these. But these are now, manufactured with metal. Hand those around. I'm sorry. Yeah, so my era, 1770s here and earlier, you would have used baling, whalebone, but from the mouth. And then when it's fresh, it's almost rubbery feeling. So, but they do sell synthetic baling for people. Do you see how many are in here? I mean, this is all right. It's black. Here you can see you don't need as many. They're spaced out, but the steel is really solid stuff. So the good thing about the steel is that it won't break on you. The baling would break. What's that? You can't bend. No, you can't bend. But the only bad thing about that is I think it happened to me. That's when I bought a new corset. It was because I sewed it here. Thought I had another one. Oh, here it is. This is what happens. They poke out. They poke out, and then they'll tear a hole in your dress. Yeah, I had one poke out up in the top and the back, and it poked a hole right through my dress. Yeah, so, and you can stitch them, and that's why you didn't really wash these a lot, because you didn't want the material to weaken, and so, yeah, it's just, so yeah, this one I sewed shut, and then I had another one pop out, and I was like, I'm getting a new corset, because I'm not going to be tearing my dresses. So, with these, they break. You could pop this open, slide it out, put a new one in, and sew it shut. And that's what they did. Right. So you didn't just buy a whole new corset. You try to salvage it as long as you could. So that's, and now, okay. So I called this a stomacher, but there's also another kind of stomacher, and that was an outer garment that, see, she's wearing, this is the French style, and she has a corset similar to mine, with the stomacher. But then she has this decorative piece that's over it. I'm not that fancy of a lady. I'll show you what I do. But the other thing that is needed for what I'm wearing are pins. And up at Mackinac, they're finding pins all the time. So pins were an integral part of putting your dress on. You have to pin it to you. Some of the Amish still do that today, right? And some of them are like, oh, buttons are too frilly or whatever. They still use, some of the Amish still use pins. But pins, I was like thinking about it, like, geez, 1770s pins, you know how to make those things? But they go back to ancient Greece. I mean, so straight pins have been, and what's so funny is that all of us, you know, in period clothing up there, it's like, you see the sun shining, you're like, pin, because you lose them all day long. It's ridiculous. So that's why they find so many pins and digs.
That is like a nail though.
It does. Well, it's blown up, you know, but it's the head of the
But
pin.
it's metal.
Yes.
Our straight pins today are pretty lightweight.
Right, yes. And a lot of the pins they use for the air I'm doing is brass. Brass pins.
They could get heavy if you need several.
It's a pain. to say the least. So instead of a stomacher, I'm sorry, not using them. So instead of a stomacher for me, I'm going to use a scarf.
Is that also for modesty?
It was to kind of like cover up your undergarment and modesty for here. Modesty. And scarves were very, very popular. Isn't that beautiful? We have a lot of surprisingly pretty colors that were available. And so that's what I would use instead of a stomacher. Again, I'm a working person, so. Okay, next garment. Next garment. Oh, I should. Okay, I didn't finish talking about the corset. I just wanted to show you, we were talking about Pride and Prejudice, 1810s. You see her waist, how long it is, but remember how I told you your corset would change according to your outer dress? What's the style in 1810s? Empire waist, up to here. So it's not really an attractive look for a lot of people, because it can look prego, you know, if you're not, which is how she looks like the servant without the stays. And see her mistress, how nice and long and lean she looks. Again, they're pretty flexible, but you see how far they come down. And I love like the way the British do their series, because even Pride and Prejudice, there's scenes of her walking outside, and you can see the skirt hitting the stays. You can see the line of the stays. They really do well with their period clothing to be correct. It was Queen Charlotte who made this a style, by the way. She became enthralled with this artist named Ashton, and he painted something called The Dawn of the 19th Century, where these women were in these types of dresses. And so she says, I'm going to start dressing like that. And she's the one who set the stage for the style, which is often with royalty and the elite to set the stage for clothing. clothing styles. But from 1794 to 1800, stays were short. 1800 to about 1811, long. And then 1810 to 19, that's the Regency era. And we see that changing again, and that era was, shorter stays and lots of fabric. The more fabric you had on your dress meant the more money you had, right? So you have gone and bought bolts of fabric. I know you have. It's not cheap, and you can imagine back then what it was like. So that's what here you can see 1860s, 1870s. You start to see these dresses with a deeper waistline. 1880s, and then 1890s, even longer waist. So the next thing is, for a general term, dress improvers. Okay, I need 2 volunteers that would like to try on a dress improver. No one's on. Come on up here. Okay, we got 2. Come on up. How fun. Turn around. Okay, hold on to that, those. Oh, yeah. Okay. You want to walk? Okay, walk around and show everyone. Nice. Okay. So what she has on is a farthingale. There were many different types of farthingales. Some were made with bent wood. These are just stuffed pillows. Most likely they were stuffed with horsehair. And from the tail, the mane, it stays pretty stiff. And so that's that. Basically, it's a dress improver that would make your skirt come out on the sides. Yes, and make your waist look tiny. And yours would really make your waist look tiny. Because now these are panniers, and your skirts would have slits on them, so you can reach inside and put your knitting in there, and your money, garden tools. Okay, but you have one problem that's bigger than hers. If you can stand up over here for a minute, I need this chair. Yes. Okay. What is your name? Okay. Ricky, forget. Would you walk through there, please? Okay, that's one way. Now I want you to hold onto the edges and push them. There you go. You live in Italy and you're walking through those little alleys. Now those are day panniers, okay? And that's a very small style. The ladies of the courts, they could be as much as 3.5 feet wide. And of course, the ladies of the courts had lots of material and, shows money, but these are day panniers from the early 1700s. In the later 1800s, they're really kind of mostly the court ladies are wearing them. It's fun. You think you want to make it a style?
They don't make women's clothing with pockets.
I know.
Actually, I want to
Yes.
make a point. If you guys look at some of the dresses that were, if you want to look at some of the dresses that were worn to the Met this last weekend, they had panniers under them.
Oh, with the Met? They had panniers, yeah. And they came back in the 1920s, too. You'll see some pannier styles in the 20s, too. So, yeah, some things kind of
But yeah,
look back.
from the gallon, they're under it.
Yeah. It's fun. So thank you, models. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So, there was also something called a bum roll. I love that one. You see she has a petticoat with an overskirt, and the bum roll goes under the overskirt. And that was just to give it all around more base for to hold up the dress. But they called it bum roll. Not a very romantic name. So that little tiny farthingale that I showed you, this is another type of farthingale. And again, it was royalty that brought this out, basically like the early crinoline hoop. And some people said it, Joan, she was a queen consort of Portugal. They said she dawned on this style, started making it popular because they said, because she was probably, started to wear it when she was pregnant, to kind of cover that up. So whether or not that's true, but that's history talk there for you. Here's a picture of, there you go. Let me try this. Oop, there we go. Remember I told you the panniers that were really large? Made out of bent wood. And again, these all collapse. They would all collapse up. Okay, and those are just like the ones that you just put on, the day panniers. Or false hips, that was another name for it. Now, the 1830s actually had a bustle. And then it went away, crinoline came in, and then the bustle came back. So we see, again, like we were saying in the 1920s, some of these styles would pop up again. So these probably were filled with horsehair, just tied around the waist, again, very similar to the bum roll, but didn't come all the way around to the front.
What was the point of that one?
It's to hold your skirt from stepping on it, more material to give you a shape. The style. And I'll show you another piece. It's to hold your skirt away from stepping on it. But they say that the panniers that we talked about started by the Spanish. We've seen the farthingale also started by the Spanish. But now we have the crinoline, or the cage, or the hoop. And 1860s is what you're looking at here. And I have one here.
Was that considered everyday clothing too?
Well,
Especially.
not when you're cooking in a stove. Right? You would have actually, every day, you would have worn a corded petticoat. They had cording sewn inside of it, and that would help puff out. And this would not be the only petticoat you wore, but you could starch this. Mine's not starched. And that would help puff out your skirt. But I would have worn this around the house, cooking and so forth. When I go out, I would wear this. The only problem with this, well, one of the problems with this, as you can see, it's kind of ridiculous. It's not your era, but let's put it on you so they can see. Step inside. And I don't know if you can reach down and pull that out. Okay. All right. Some leg here. we're gonna tie this on her. And this would hold your fabric out from stepping on it. And the problem with this is you would need more petticoats, not just underneath to keep you warm, but on top, because if you just laid your skirt over it, you would see these rings. So you needed something to puff that out and not show that so directly there. The problem is sometimes you do stuff on it, and these were constantly breaking. Exactly, and this one, so they did have ones that they came up with that had the material already in it. This one is really bigger than that one, and this is so ridiculous. Get out of my way! You know? It's crazy. So you need way more fabric for this. And this, by having it sewn in, alleviated the need for more petticoats. You like it, don't you? She's like, thrilling. All right, well, I'll let you play with it while I this is sad, but it's an original. Found in somebody's attic. This is 1870s. This is when they started incorporating also a bustle. You would have had a pillow, probably a horsehair, sewn in here. And you can see it's steel, it rusted. And the 1870s are actually one of my favorite eras of clothing. I went with Deborah. Deborah did a field trip to the Rutherford B. Hayes home, and that's worth seeing her collection of clothing. It's that era that we're talking about, 1870s. No.
You just have the front.
Yes. So now you're getting away from that bell shape in the 1870s. Everything's starting to be pushed back. But this would keep, because 1870s had overflowing fabric on the back of the dresses, which is why I like them. They're so gorgeous. It's heavy, and you needed something to keep it away from stepping on it. And that's why it's this shape. You can kind of see here, the late 1860s, what's happening is it's going less from a bell. The front is becoming a little more flat, and it's pushing out more. But here you go. This is mocking the, look how they're dressing her with the sticks and putting the fabric over on top. So the skirt would go on top. Isn't that crazy?
Keeps boyfriend away.
Yeah. And here, this is a funny cartoon. This is one of the problems I was talking about. What happens is these come off, they break off, these pop. And you're constantly repairing them. So during the Civil War, when it became harder to become, to acquire materials for fixing these things, and this is when we start to see it. It's not fitting in society anymore. And also now we have things like omnibuses, and women are traveling on them, the train eventually. This doesn't fit. It's just not convenient for that kind of life.
I think a lot of them got caught in fires too.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. Here's this is where she caught fire. See, her dress is on fire. And second leading cause of death, infection from burns. That's what this first was, problems with childbirth. What's that? The dog's on fire? Not. Yeah, the dog's tail is on fire. Yeah, so it's ridiculous.
I care about the dog.
Yeah. Me too.
So how would Scarlett O'Hara go to her ball, or did she dress once she got there?
She dressed when she got there, don't you remember?
Well, she got the curtains, right?
We went to the houses and they all brought their gowns and
We had two gowns.
dress.
Yeah, it pushes. So have a seat, sit down, and what I want you to do is grab the sides and just kind of lift it up a little bit while you sit. Not all the way up, but sit back. Here, and you don't have to put it all the way up, but that's fine. But see, it collapses. And a lot of people say, oh, look at the furniture, they're so little, you know? And it's like, well, they had ladies' chairs that were closer to the ground so their ankles would show, so their dress would touch the ground. So that's why those chairs were shorter to the ground. Not so much that they were so short, but more to modest. Yes. So that it works. But here you can see again what's happening. This is very much like the one I just showed you. Oh, where did I put it? Did I put it back? Under the table. Oh, under the table. Okay. You saw it. So then we make our way up to the bustle. And bustles could be handmade, which is this one. A very simple day bustle for around the house is just like a pillow. It's a double pillow. And you can pin it right to your petticoat so that it's always in the spot where you want it. So this is what you're going to put on. So we'll have to take that off and put this one on. I have to get up. I like this. Sorry. Whoops, we're tying you back. Okay, we'll step out. And we'll just let it fall to the ground. Come up this way. I don't want to catch your eye. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, okay. All right, and just step out of it. And we'll put this here.
How are you doing with shoes now before?
They're too big on her. You okay? Yeah, they're horrible, aren't they? I hate them. They kill my feet. I hate them. But it is what it is.
You're not saying.
She's not sure. Okay. So, we'll just put this over your head. Okay. Arms up. Okay. You're kind of on the top of her. Oops. Okay, grab that string, pull them, pull your strings. Here we go.
Do you think they would have used muslin for some of these outfits?
I know we use muslin for backings of corsets and stuff, or backings of inside your bodice. I mean, never say never, but this era, cotton is really prevalent because it's comfortable and it's affordable. Okay, so turn around. You can see her bustle is just this is just an everyday bustle. The bustles you see there, these are designed to hold more fabric. This would have had fabric on it, but I like to show it because it looks like a slinky. And that's what it would be wrapped. It may have a bust, like something comforter, usually stuffed with horsehair, to soften the sides. This one is neat. This is a store-bought. It's collapsible. Has a spring. Somebody made their own pad because it probably hurt her on her back. So she added her own padding to soften it on her back. But just, belted around the waist. These are original pieces. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, so that's the bustle. I'm trying to see what my next slides will be. I tend to talk a little too much. Let's finish getting dressed. Okay, we need our petticoats. You have the one. I'm probably going to be more work than you. So I wonder, have you ever done 1880s? All right, we will get dressed. You have 3 pieces. And it's probably gonna be too big on you. She has an overskirt. And it has strings on the inside that pull up the fabric to make it look like you see it. Okay, the flat piece would go in the front. So that's gonna go on after you put on this. And this will go over her head. This is the front. Okay, so while you're putting that on, and then we'll put on the bodice last. Okay. Am I talking to them? Should we just end it?
No, I mean, I think
Okay.
I want to see the clothes.
Okay, okay, so. Too much.
It's so interesting.
Thank you. What's that? Oh, good. This is a wool. This will keep me warm. It'll protect me from the heat of the hearth when I'm cooking. But it's white. And it's white, so yes. But I don't know how I managed to use it. I have a pocket.
Sometimes you get so many ties, it's like you.
The things I always keep in my pocket are a tin of pins, because I'm always losing them, and a knife for in the garden and for cooking, and pops open. That's right. Always keep those. There we go. Okay. Yes, and this is linen. And it's fun, I will tell you, in the summer, sometimes I do not wear my this one. I'll just wear the linen, because it's so hot, you know. Yeah. All right.
We get the idea.
Here, you get the idea.
You look so wrong, Phyllis.
This is my outer skirt. These are just petticoats. All right, there you go. Well, I have no drawers. I have no drawers. It's just the chemise. It's a lot easier. I don't have anything. She's swimming in it. It's okay. You don't make me feel fat.
Now, if that was in her wardrobe, would she wear that for morning?
Yes, and this is a morning dress, regular morning, 1885. It was designed off of an actual dress from that era. And this is morning, no shiny buttons or buckles. I have 2 different things that I can wear. I can wear a bed gown, apron around it, but I can also wear this working outside, in the garden, and so forth. But that's one option, the most comfortable option. But down. And I don't know if you want, this takes a little time. So, my ribbon go. Did you see my blue ribbon here? Okay. So, one trick is the 1870s was common to have just these tied or cufflinks. But the cufflinks I'm always losing, so I'll just put ties. But I can put the ribbon in. Yes. Because otherwise, it'll get stuck up in there. Okay, so this makes things a little easier. Okay. Thank you. You're welcome. There we go. Okay. Now, I don't know that I will go ahead and do the whole dress because I think we're in a hurry. Pins. These are brass pins. These would be like what they would use, brass typically. And you first have to put this, line it up with your stakes. If you guys haven't seen Fort Macomb, we have a wonderful event on the first weekend of August called the Askins Weekend. And it talks about all the men and the women that worked for Askin outside of the fur trade, all these other industries that were spun off of it. And I'll be there in the French Canadian quarters. So if you come that weekend, it'll be fun. I'll probably be cooking or. And then what happens is everything I cook, we eat, all the staff. We have a party. Yeah, after when we close the doors and we all eat. And then I also use pins for my bonnet. bonnet, like a straw bonnet, I mean, or to my hair. I weave it through because of the wind. So. Okay, so I could have this, or I could have a straw bonnet. And you, my dear.
I don't like Vivian Lee.
Face the camera. Okay, so with this hairstyle, I'm not going to pin it. Normally, in the 1880s, you wore your hair very high on the head because the bonnets were high on the head, and you needed the hair to, again, pin your bonnet to your hair. That's a small one. So, but yeah, her hair is low. In the 1860s, you'll see the hairstyles, the buns are very low, and the bonnets are lower, right? So your hairstyle is going to the bonnets determine the hairstyle, right? So, because you need your hair to pin it through. Thank you.